Hello everyone, just to let you know, this is a chapter that will be divided into two parts because of how long it is. Now I just also want to let you know that if I do start tearing up, you'll eventually know in the story. But anyways, here is part 1 of this chapter. Eyes twitched as a faint groan escaped his lips, as consciousness sped back like low spreading ink. He stirred, muscles protesting after what felt like an eternity of stillness. The sterile scent of anesthetic filled his nostrils, sharp and unfamiliar. After a moment or two, an eye fully fluttered open, as he finds himself staring aimlessly at the ceiling. His vision blurry. The world felt muffled and distant. He tried to lift his head, but a dull ache paused through his chest, sharp enough to make him gasp. His left eye remained shut, sealed tight. A heavy bandage covered it, with fabric rough against his temple. Where? The question formed sluggishly in his mind. The last clear memory was his battle with Akaza, the Upper Moon 3, and the soaring agony tearing through his chest. Then nothing, only darkness. He vaguely saw a moment from the edge of his vision and turned his head to the side. He spotted a young woman dressed in a nurse's uniform just as she entered the room. Her eyes widened as she noticed him awake. "Rengoku-san?" she exclaimed, her voice a mixture of relief and disbelief. She hurriedly scampered over to his bedside, her heels clicking softly against the wood floorboards. "Thank goodness you're finally awake." Kojiro blinked slowly, his remaining eyes struggling to focus. The nurse's face swam into a few soft features, framed by dark hair braided neatly beneath her cap. Her name surfaced sluggishly from some deep recess. Ruru Kimuru. She was the only nurse here at the butterfly estate that worked for Shinobu. "Where?" he stated, his voice a bit raspy. He swallowed, throat raw and dry. "Am I?" The words felt thick and clumsily on his tongue. Ruru leaned closer, her expression kind. "You're at the butterfly estate, Rengoku-san. You've been here for quite some time." She paused, her gaze softening. "Do you remember anything?" Rengoku's brow furrowed in frustration. Fragment images flashed through his mind. A train, but the details blurred into static. He couldn't grasp anything above the haze. "Don't remember much." His voice scraped like gravel, and Ruru nodded in understanding. Of course he didn't. The trauma alone would cause memory loss. "You were severely injured," she explained, gently adjusting the pillow. Kojiro remained silent for a moment, and then, "Did I die?" Ruru paused, her smile faltering slightly. She hadn't expected such a direct question. Should I tell him? She was hesitant, then decided to be truthful. "Yes, Rengoku-san, you did. You were defeated by an upper moon, and your injuries were catastrophic." Kojiro absorbed this silently. His only good eye stared at the ceiling, unblinking. He's always known death was common in their line of work, but facing its reality felt hollow. He flexed his fingers, testing the sensation of being alive. "How?" he rasped. How was he alive? But luckily, Ruru didn't keep him in suspense. "You were revived," she answered. "You were revived by Lady Otsu Furuawa. She sacrificed her life for yours." She paused, watching his expression shift from confusion to a dawning shock. "Her final act healed your wounds and brought you back to life." "Otsu. Lady Furuawa." The name is a whisper, a ghost on his cracked lips. Otsu, Ian's guardian and foster mother. The memory of her gentle face flickers in his mind, her warm eyes and scent of cherry blossoms and incense clinging to her robes. She gave her own life for him. It's then he remembered seeing his mother, Ruka, and meeting Otsu on the bridge after life and death. He remembered her words, her farewell. So it wasn't a dream after all. Kojiro sighed, a sound ragged and heavy. How long? He asked, his voice low. You've been in a coma for nearly 9 months, Ruru replied softly. 9 months? Kojiro's breath hitched. 9 months lost to sleep? He absorbed the news with an unreeling stillness, his remaining eyes fixed on the ceiling. No gasp, no tremor, only the slow clench of his fist against the thin hospital sheet beneath the shock. The weight of it pressed down, immense and suffocating. Yet his voice emerged steadily, almost detached. I see. It wasn't acceptance, merely acknowledgement. A warrior cataloging impossible facts. It's then he remembered. His family. Where were they? His father? Senjuro? His wife? His child? Ian. My snowflower. His voice scrapped out, each word a labor as he struggled to lift his head and glance around the room. Where is she? The question was raw, stripped bare. Not just his wife, though. Her name burned brightest, but also his son, Tayu, and Senjuro, and his father. Ian? Ruru repeated softly, her expression softening with understanding. She glanced toward the door as if expecting someone to enter. She left this morning. Left? The words felt heavy, laden with implication he didn't grasp. Ruru nodded. Though she placed her index finger on her chin, she didn't specifically say where she was going. I believe she said she was going for a walk. Kojiro's brows furrowed. A walk? Ruru glanced at him, seeing the confusion etched on his features. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot to mention this, but while you were asleep, someone's been training to get stronger. Oh, everyone's been training to get stronger. She paused, her expression softening. Even young Tanjiro. Kojiro felt his chest tightened, not from pain, but from a sudden fierce swell of pride. Tanjiro! Memories of the boy with Hanafu earrings with unwilting spirit flashed vividly across his mind. Tanjiro and his friends had fought beside him on the train. Kojiro was revealed to know they were all okay and still striving forward. It would seem like they took his encouragement to heart, to become stronger, to survive, to protect humanity, most importantly, to keep their hearts ablaze. To say he was proud would be an understatement. Kojiro's remaining eye burned with a fierce warmth. Everyone was striving forward. Tanjiro, his comrades, and even his wife. They were doing their part. He had been asleep for 9 months, and they hadn't wasted a moment. Good. Excellent. Kojiro tried to sit up, but the pain of his chest flared like a branding iron. He grunts. Kojiro-san. Ruru was instantly at his side, pressing him back down onto the pillow. Please, you are not to move. Your wounds, they're still raw. Raw. Everything felt raw. His eye, his chest, his memories, fragment shards of the Mugen train and the fight with Akaza. But Kojiro sank back against his pillow, gripping the thin hospital sheet in his clenched fist in frustration. You must continue to let your body rest, Ruru insisted, her voice gentle but firm. Regain your strength. Kojiro reluctantly eased back, his breathing shallowed, the frustration shimmered beneath his calm exterior. 9 months stolen. He needed to know of his family. Tayo, my son, Senjuro, and father. Your son is safe with your brother and your father. She hesitant, her gaze flickering away briefly. I don't know when Yin will be back, but I'm sure she'll be back soon. Kojiro's jaw tightened at the uncertainty. Where could she be? He forced himself to breathe slowly, focusing on the steady rhythm of his own heartbeat. Anyway, I'll go inform Lady Kocho immediately that you're awake. She rose, smoothing her uniform. Rest now. Please don't strain yourself. With a final nod, she slipped out the door, leaving Kojo alone with the observation silence. He laid still, the steering thick air with a scent of medicine in his own frustration. 9 months. The weight pressed down on his ribs, making each breath slow, shallow, and insignificant. Solemnly, he turned his head and stared at the window. Gray clouds smoothed the sky, casting the room in a mid-light. No sun, no warmth. Only the dull ache behind his bandaged eye and the sharper throb in his chest reminded him he was still here. However, despite feeling utmost thankful to be alive, Kojo felt incompetent. His heart yearned for her. Snowflakes caught in dark lashes, the curve of her lips when she smiled, rare, precious, like the sunlight breaking through the storm clouds, the way her fingers felt intertwined with his, cool and steady amongst his own burning warmth. A phantom scent of frost-kissed pine needles and something unique, her, filled his senses. His chest ached. He longed to have her by his side. Where are you, my love? Deep in the mountains, though, the wind howled like a winged beast, and snowflakes sliced through the air, each one a razor-sharp shard in the utmost natural cold. The scent of blood hung thick, copper and decay mingling with the ozone tang that of leash power. Crimson splatters painted the pristine snow in gruesome patterns. Steaming briefly before freezing, a demon lunged, claws extended, saliva freezing on his fangs mid-snarl. The figure in the dark, black and white kimono didn't turn. A flicker of a wrist, and a jagged shard of ice erupted from the ground beneath the demon, punching upwards forwards through its jaw and through its skull with a sickening crunch. It hung through the air, twitching, dissolving into nothingness as scattered by the gale. Another demon with a scorpion-like tail lashed out, venom dripping from its talon tips. She subsided, the sharp edge of the shithering beneath itself, deep in the snowbank. Her hand closed into a fist, and the demon screamed as ice crawled up its tail, freezing the venom inside, and then exploded upwards through its torso in a shower of crimson ice shards. Freeze, she muttered, her breath frosting the air. Her robes flared against the storm. Untouched by gore, she sensed them still, dozens more drawn by her presence, their bloodlust a frantic drumbeat against her will. They couldn't help themselves. Her scent was a beacon. However, beknownst to them, a drug specific yet forbidden coursed through her veins. The Ichigo, the red chocolate, its bittersweet taste dissolving thickly on her tongue. The candy wasn't truly chocolate. It wasn't a contact lure. The distant scent of rare demon attracting fruit. It tasted like iron and spoiled honey. It's supposed to draw them out, to take them calm, to ensure they couldn't resist the primal instinct to hunt her down, to tear her apart. Ice crystals formed to indicate patterns in the air, glistening with deadly beauty. Another demon charged, lurking a brutal with a skin like cracked stone. She didn't flinch. Indeed, he looked strong, intimidated even, thick-eyed like granite, muscles coiled beneath cracked stone skin. Let me handle this, he grinned, revealing jagged teeth. Ah, so he still has his sanity. Impressive. Most demons lost their minds completely when exposed to the chocolate effect. But this one, he regained some of his reason to boast. How quaint. How utterly annoying. The stone demon roared, a sound like grinding shoulders. And, slapping its fist into the frozen earth, the ground buckled violently, sending jaggeds of spiked rocks erupting towards her. She stepped sideways like mist, her Michael kimono whispering against the wind. His fist hammered down again, carturating the snow where she'd been a heartbeat before. Dust and ice crystals spoke through the air. He was strong, durable. Her ice shards shattered immediately against his gruden hide, leaving only fragment bushes. His laughter, though, boomed, echoing off the mountain slopes. Your ice won't work on me, little wrench. End of part 1 of 2.